The other day, I was buying something from TEMU and I was mesmerized.
Wow.
I was mesmerized by the prices, by all the options. And then I wonder why the West is shitting on China that much. Do you have an answer for that?
I think mostly what people like you forget is that the products that you buy, you're not sure where they come from exactly. What if they're made in some sweatshop? That's why they're so cheap.
Well, I'm sorry, darling, but I think many things that Westerns buy from Western companies, they actually
Yes,
don't
of
know
course.
exactly the origins and where that thing was produced.
Yes.
And they don't know if it was produced from a sweatshop.
No,
So
that's
where's
true.
the difference?
That's true.
So,
The difference is that if these Western retailers selling that product in Western countries, they can be held accountable, quote, held accountable. Even though it won't happen, in theory, they could be held accountable for buying products made by factories or companies that are using child labor or sweatshops. But a Chinese retailer that sells straight from China, then it's basically the Chinese government has to deal with it, and they won't.
but why do you explain that China is the factory of the world and the world, including the West?
No. Okay, yes.
They didn't care for many decades that was the case.
That's not China's fault. That's companies in the West fault. The greedy companies who buys cheap product from China because they want to make a revenue. Yes. That's not China's fault. They're just playing the game. China is the factory of the world because of greedy companies from the West. Yes, absolutely. But that's why people think, some say that we should ban products bought from China altogether. What do you think about that?
I think it's highly hypocritical because during many, many decades, the West profited and took advantage of what China was, like the factory of the world. And they were, taking advantage of it. And until now, the Chinese is actually getting more independent economically wise, is when the West is like, this is weird. Why? You were labor hand, not business people. And that's the thing that I think the narrative in the West is why they're always pushing this, like China is a threat thing. In my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Which I don't see that's fair, because as soon as a country manages to develop itself, it implies that it's a threat for the West.
But you're forgetting one thing, how the governments of these two countries, Western countries and China, how they are operating. I think that's a very important point.
Yeah, I get it. And there are many questionable things recent or contemporary Chinese history. Yes. But I think the West forgets that China has been an overpopulated country in comparison to other Western minuscule unpopulated countries where their societies are smaller, they are decreasing. They need massive migration, and they need that migration for cheap labor. So again, all this narrative anti-China, to me, it seems that it comes from this white moral complex / like moral high complex, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, in most cases, for sure, it does. Absolutely. I mean, as threats, you mean they think that it's a threat because they're not following the ideals of the West? Or what do you mean?
Actually, that's the thing. I don't know. But they're always saying this.
I mean, okay, China could be a threat to the West just because they show signs of operating and cooperating with bad actors. Like,
I mean, if a threat means to be a superpower and becoming a superpower and being part of the big G7, if that's the threat, it's like, it's the West telling the rest of the world, like, listen, people, we are the cool ones. This is our close-knitted community. This is our boys club, and it's membership only. And if you want to become a member of this high exclusive club, don't come near us because you're not welcome, even if you try. And when you try, we're gonna talk. We're gonna gossip about you.
But why do China keep shaking hands with Putin and Kim Jong-un? Why isn't that a problem?
I think it is a problem, yes, but I think it's an
unnecessary evil
for China, because China, I think, historically, they've been trying to create alliances just in order to survive as a country. But it doesn't mean that they have a friendship. Like, oh yes, we are a brotherhood. I don't think that that's the Chinese mentality, not even for the Communist Chinese Party. That's what I will say. They are just doing for strategic purposes, but not because they actually want to be friends. Because at the end of the game, it's the politics game. That's how it is. So you have to play politics, don't you think?
Yes. I mean, yeah, you have to. But also you can select, you can decide if, as a governor or ruler.
Yeah, but you're not listening to me. The West has been this closed country club, members only, not letting anyone that doesn't look like them, that doesn't speak like them, that doesn't do what they do to get into their club,
it's not
into
entirely
their
true.
community.
South Korea? Japan?
Japan. Yeah, but I think South Korea and Japan, they are also another topic.
Yes, but they're still with the West. There's not like a closed club.
Yeah, okay.
It's like how do...
But you need to understand that they weren't built under a communist ideology.
It's very simple. Like, there are countries that say, for example, Iran, they say death to America. If you were American, how comfortable would you feel with Iran if they chant death to America? You would most likely feel like these are people that would actually hurt me if they could. Most of them would. Or not the people, I'm talking about the government.
Okay.
That they would probably do, they would not treat me with benevolence if they met me.
I understand that.
Let's say that's a fair assumption. Then you have another country that makes deals with this country, that buys products from them, that exchanges military equipment with this country. Would you trust that country?
No, absolutely
Would
not.
you invite them to your home if you know that they're dealing with someone who wants me dead?
No.
No, and that's China. You have to accept that.
Again, I do think, in my humble opinion, that China does it just because has no other where to turn.
That's not, I don't think that's true.
I think it's true. And I don't think Chinese government and the Communist Chinese Party feels any way close to Iran regime. Like, I don't think they feel that there's some similarities at all. I don't think so.
There's no similarities, but they have
exactly. There are no similarities, and I don't think they have an alliance with them in any shape, way, or form. It's maybe just well, let's make a common front against the West, but I do think that the Communist Chinese Party, they don't feel, what do you say?
They don't feel ideologically equal to Iran.
Yeah, no.
No, but they still mingle with them. Yeah.
But mingle?
They do deals with them.
Yeah, but that's business. And the same, the US does business with Iran anyways, even the Ayatollah was there. By the way.
Yeah, but it's also...
Well, are you going to excuse that?
No, but there's another, like...
Oh, you're going to tell me there's a nuance there?
Yeah, it is.
So there's context there.
Yes.
So when China does it, there's no nuance?
No, it's why China does it.
Oh.
Yeah. Why did China decide to spend more money on buying Russian oil after Russia has specifically showed that they're running low on money for the war in Ukraine? Then China started buying more oil from Russia. Why? That's context. That context matters because it directly affects people in Ukraine.
But I think that they are more a business partnership than a friendship or brotherhood. Historically, China and Russia, they've been pals, quotation marks, just out of necessity, not because they feel there's some brotherhood there. Did you know that Mao disliked Stalin, and Stalin hated Chinese people? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know.
Did you know that Stalin and many Russians, they were racist towards Chinese people?
No.
What? Yes.
They know that.
Yeah, they were. They were. But still, Mao made deals with Stalin out of need and necessity for his country to survive.
Okay.
It was a bad deal, of course. It was a bad an alliance, of course. But that's what happens when you play politics, I would say.
Okay, but scratching all this, how about excluding someone from the famous club just because how they decide to treat their own people?
I'm sorry, were you saying? Can
How
you
about
repeat the question?
yes? How about excluding people from the club based on how they treat people, how they treat their own people? Have you thought about that?
Yeah,
What do you think about that?
I think it's. I understand why there has to be some. Oh, I forgot the word, but I understand why there are some concerns, or there are concerns about human rights from a country or a nation. However, I think that people forget that, at least for Chinese contemporary history, what they've been doing, if you think about it, from an undeveloped, extremely poor country to creating a larger middle class that they didn't have before, purchase power parity for China and its people in what you could say in economical terms in a short period. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yes, the means are, well, questionable. Yes, but again, how could a large, multi-diverse, multi-regional country with more than 50 ethnic groups manage to unify a massive land? Because this is what the West don't understand, and mostly Europeans, because most European countries are like a little town in China in terms of territory, land, and extension. So for you, or for many Europeans, it's difficult to grasp the concept of a massive country with so much diversity. How can you pull off something like that in just a few decades? It's really fascinating, and that's what you need to understand. It wasn't easy. There were many questionable things for sure, but what China is now, it doesn't define Chinese history as a whole.
No, it doesn't. But
And I think that the West should actually reconsider their point of view towards China, because everyone is consuming forward or thanks to China. Everything you have at home, it's because Chinese labor hands made it for you, and you, in your comfortable life, you had the ways to get to those things, and you forget where that thing comes from, I think.
okay. There's a lot of things. Like, now you have unpacked lots of things here.
Yeah.
I'm talking, but let me talk now.
Okay.
I just want to say that my point with all this was that how they treat their own people is not unified, or is not unifiable with what we want a country or a government to be, how they want, how they should act.
But this is the thing.
But wait, let me wait.
Why you say what we want? Again, it's this Eurocentric point.
It's
of
not.
the
This
view
comes
of
from
the
no.
Yes, it
You're
is. In
you're
many
ignoring
ways
the
it is.
Chinese people who also feel oppressed by their government.
Some probably, but
No, not some.
not the
Many does.
majority.
Many feel suppressed by the government. Like they don't have the freedom that other countries have, and you have to just accept that.
Oh, you have to just accept that anywhere in the world,
wait.
people is gonna feel suppressed.
there's
Like, there are many Americans feeling that their government is a dictatorship, and the same happens in the fucking
now
UK.
you're now, like, it's not the same as feeling oppressed by the government and being oppressed by the government.
But
If
that-
I wait, let me finish. If someone in the United States writes something critical about Trump, they don't risk going to prison. If someone in China writes something critical about Xi Jinping, they actually risk prosecution. That's a difference that is not unifiable. You can't have both ways. You have to pick one or the other. And you have to ask yourself, which one do I want? And most people of China would probably pick the former, the primary one.
Assange.
What?
Julian Assange.
What's with what? Okay.
Wasn't he persecuted by the U.S. government?
I mean, yes.
Edward Snowden.
Yeah.
Wasn't he persecuted by the U.S. government?
Yeah, but they were releasing state secrets. It's kind of not the same as writing something critical about the president. It's not the same. Okay. It's not the same. No, and then another thing you need to understand, like, yes, like the Chinese evolution into capitalism and middle class expansion, all these things, very impressive. But where did that come from originally in Western countries? It came from people who wanted a free market. The union came from people who want to be protected by tyrannical bosses and companies. So the change that happened in the West was forced by the people. But the change that happened in China was not forced by the people, it was by the government. Why? Because it generates more money. Communism is not economically viable. No. They changed their structure because they realized that we make more money as capitalism, but we still want to control the people. So it was not the people felt oppressed and wanted to break out. It was the government saying we want both of two worlds. We want communist control and capitalist economy. That's what they did.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough.
And you cannot just, for me, hiding one half of that truth is by saying like, oh, it's really impressive what they did. They increased the middle class. Yes, but they increased the middle class so that they can earn more money. Basically, the people still have money. What?
But, okay, yes, granted. But again, it's like...
You're defending the government.
I'm not defending the government. Or maybe I am.
You are.
I haven't realized.
This video is going to get flagged now.
No, but
just to clear, Chinese people, we really respect and love you.
How is it I'm defending the Chinese government and you are not defending the U.S. government?
Exactly, I'm not defending them.
No?
No.
So why you said, when I said Edward Snowden, Julian Assange, they were persecuted by the U.S. government?
Yeah, and they should be. They should not be prosecuted. They should be freed. They should not be prosecuted.
Okay, but...
I'm not...
But things happen also in the West. That's my point. Whenever people say like, oh, there's dictatorship, there's oppression, there's blah, 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 there's also many examples of the same in the West.
Yes. You can find...
By the way, have you been to China?
No, I haven't.
So how can we talk about a country if we haven't been there? If we are just consuming media that is telling us some things and they're filtering many things that we actually don't know because we actually haven't talked even with a native Chinese person.
Wait, I need to say something important here.
Okay, look at the camera, please.
I need to say something. Yeah, but I'm saying it to you also.
To me, okay.
Yes, because I think that argument, what you just said, don't use that argument. If you haven't been to a country, therefore you can't speak with, is bullshit.
I object.
Of course. What? I don't have to go to Antarctica to know it's cold. I don't need to go to Sahara to know it's fucking hot. Like, there's
and
information.
You don't have to go to, let's say, Mexico to understand that the country is not living under war? That is not a war zone?
If that's the case, what's the point with news? What's the point of what's the point of history? Because if you can't go there, you don't know. So any history is bullshit, basically, because did you go to Nazi Germany? No, you didn't go to Nazi Germany. Therefore, you can't know what it is like, so you can't speak about it.
No, I'm so
so
sorry,
by that argument, you basically abolish any type of knowledge about any country in history or in present by saying you haven't been there.
I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you that sometimes in these modern times that we have the opportunity to travel abroad, that we can go and see with our own two eyes, or if you have eyes, and you can see by yourself. You can ask, and then you can form either reinforce your biased opinion or change your opinion or broaden your opinion.
But now you're assuming that someone goes to a country, a tourist, you're assuming that that tourist is going to have an open mind, well enough opened mind to see the real truth that goes on. And you're actually expecting also that they're not only moving in these tourist zones where the reality is warped. You're actually expecting them to go into real China to find out really what's going on, talk to real Chinese people. You can't say that just going to a country reveals everything that goes on in the country. That's bullshit, because you're not in the real country. You go as a tourist, you mostly hang out in the tourist area. You meet people from other countries. Like there's like a neutral zone. You don't see the reflection of the real China. That reflection comes from Chinese people living there who are reporting it back to us.
Yes.
So if you read Chinese journalists speaking that, telling you what the government is doing to the Chinese people, you have to believe them. You don't have to, you cannot say, well, I haven't been there myself, so I'm going to not assume that what they say is correct. So all the Iranian women that explain...
Did I say that? I know you're putting Iran on this.
No, but you're saying that you can't go there. If you haven't been there, you can't talk about it.
No.
And I'm saying that's a false argument.
It's not a wrong argument there. I think it, as I said, it could broaden your opinion or reinforce the opinion you already have. That was what I said. What's wrong with it?
No, that's true. That's true.
So, what? Are you listening?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Oh my God. Okay, well, I don't think we can agree on this thing. I'm sorry. I think we have to accept that we how to say, we agree that we disagree. Truth. I have my hand here. Look, this is a topic that it's never gonna end between you and I.